Hi guys, well we're going to be taking a break from the GPU reviews today for a look at a gaming laptop from MSI. So this here is the MSI GE75 Raider 9SF. Although Intel's 10th gen has been announced for laptops, we're yet to see those laptops appear, and so 9th gen is still very much alive and kicking, and that is the driving force behind this laptop today with the i7-9750H. Along with that processor, we have an exciting selection of hardware, which includes 16GB of DDR4, the powerful RTX 2070, a 1TB M.2 SSD, and a 144Hz display. So it sure does pack a punch, and based on that, you probably know it is not going to be cheap. And so it is $32.29 in Australia, $21.99 in the UK, and then $2100 in the US. Do bear in mind though, from region to region, the configurations on these laptops are slightly different. The difference really lies within the storage, and actually the UK and the Australian versions of this particular model here are very much identical. So this could be deemed as a high-end laptop, and therefore we expect good things. We're not going to be doing an unboxing on this laptop today because it just arrives in a box in a sleeve with this 280-watt brick. So let's crack on with the review. Okay, so here is our Raider. MSI avoid making big changes to their laptop designs, and if you look back over the years, there've just been subtle changes made here and there. Personally, I really like what they've done with the styling on this one here, as it looks classy and it epitomizes quality. Now this is a 17.3-inch laptop, as that 7 in the name denotes, but our actual dimensions are as follows. It is 397mm wide, 268mm deep, 27.5mm high, and then on the weight you're looking at around about 2.6 kilos. And so that is quite a large unit, but it is definitely still able to be transported if you happen to travel a lot. Now taking a look at the lid on Raider, we have a plastic panel which is adorned in this smooth matte finish. Although this looks and feels great, it does unfortunately attract finger marks easily. And on that panel there are two raised accent lines and the MSI gaming logo in the center, which lights up when the laptop is on. So running down the left edge we have Kensington lock allocation for security, ventilation for the CPU fan, a gigabit LAN port, a HDMI 2.0 that offers 4K at 60, mini DisplayPort 1.2, two USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, one is Type A and the other Type C, and then the two gold plated audio jacks for headphone and microphone. While over on the other side we have an SD card slot reader that supports XC and HC, two USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, some ventilation for the GPU fan, and the DC in for the charger. And so this is loaded with ports and various connectivity, which should satisfy most needs. Now around the back, while we don't have any additional ports, we do have some ventilation for the CPU and the GPU, and in a moment we're going to go inside to check that out. If we turn the laptop over, we have 5 rubber feet and some plastic stands to ensure that our laptop doesn't slip around. And while you may not see the underside, we have quite an interesting design here, and one which features a lot of ventilation for those internal components. Details on the SKU and the serial code are at the top, and those will be important if you need any tech support. And so let's take off this back panel for a look at the internal design and hardware. And so here is an overview. The CPU inside our laptop is based on Coffee Lake architecture. It is the Intel Core i7-9750H, which is a 6-core, 12-thread processor, which has a base frequency of 2.6 GHz, and which turbo boosts up to 4.5. And then the graphics delivery is handled by the NVIDIA RTX 2070 GPU. And while this has the same 8GB of memory as the desktop version, we do have slightly lower clock speeds by around 10%. And be sure to stick around to the end of the video, as we're going to be testing this GPU out by running some benchmarks. And so both the CPU and the GPU have their own dedicated heatsink and fan with a 7 copper heat pipe configuration. And again later on we'll be revealing how capable this design is and whether it keeps the laptop under control. For the system memory we have 16GB of Samsung DDR4, which operates at 2666. And it's great to see that MSI using dual channel here rather than just a single 16GB stick. With it we'll be able to tap into better performance. For storage we have just one drive, and it is a PCI Express driven M.2. This model here is a 1TB Samsung PM981, which uses the Phoenix controller and 3D TLC, so it is a very capable drive. You can see right next to it there is another PCI Express M.2 slot, which is again Gen 3, and so there is the option there to add in a secondary as a backup drive or to RAID with. And there is also a space for installing a SATA based 2.5-inch drive. In this model MSI has chosen to leave it out since we have quite a large capacity primary drive. Usually we get a mechanical, so with that absent, it'll definitely reduce those noise levels. The battery inside this laptop is a 6-cell unit, which will give you over 2 hours of casual to light usage. And you can see this battery is removable if you wanted to replace it, and tracking down the replacement online isn't difficult. One thing to note, which is a common mistake, is if you are gaming, then plug in that charger. Running off the battery alone will cause NVIDIA power saving to kick in, and that is going to eat into that frame rate significantly. For networking, along with the wired gigabit connection, Raider also benefits from dual band 802.11ac along with Bluetooth 5. And for this, MSI are using the Killer 1550, which is actually the Intel 9560. Now MSI has teamed up with Dyne Audio for their sound system, and for it we have these 2 oversized speakers and 2 subs. MSI calls this their giant speaker solution, and while this does have quite a gimmicky name, it does deliver big on the sound. So if we open up our laptop, we have a 17.3-inch display which offers us full HD 1080p. This is an IPS panel which supplies us with that buttery smooth 144Hz refresh, and this has an ultra thin bezel, allowing that display to run right to the edge. And at the top of that screen we have an integrated webcam which delivers 720p capture. On a laptop costing this much, we would have really expected 1080. SteelSeries has been supplying the keyboards on MSI laptops for a long time now, and Raider takes advantage of such a keyboard. The keyboard has the custom etching with silver lining and is based on a QWERTY design with perky RGB backlighting. The effects and the colours can be customized using the SteelSeries software. Across the different laptops that we review, the keyboards on these MSI models are the best on the market. The feedback, the response just feels so great, and it is very accurate. You'll notice to the side we have the power button and 2 additional buttons for the SteelSeries engine. That gives you the option there to customize the keyboard, and we also get a fan speed hotkey which cranks those fans right up to maximum, and this is how it sounds. And then finally we've got the touchpad, and this is a new design by MSI and it works very well. Again, just like that keyboard, it is fast, accurate, and we really like that they've included those 2 independent left and right clickers, as this gives you more control. Okay, so that is the overview of Raider complete, and now it's time to check out some performance. And so the plan is to firstly go into Windows 10 from that cold boot to see how quick that is, and then we're going to see what the read and write performance is like for that Samsung 981. And after that, it is time for the games, and since this has the 1080p display, we'll be running those games at 1080 and then go for the ultra detail preset, and we'll monitor the temperatures and reveal those at the end. All of our footage, by the way, is captured with the AVerMedia Ultra Gamer to avoid eating into those frame rates. Okay, so first of all, let's boot our MSI laptop and see how quick we get into Windows 10 from a cold boot. Okay, and if we just jump out of our last game, we can have a look at those temperatures. And so here we have the max values for the CPU and the GPU. Well, that concludes our look at the GE75 Raider. This is a very well designed laptop which, you can tell just by handling it, is above mid-range. It has a generous selection of ports, including the USB 3.2 Gen 2. The headline feature is of course the 144Hz display, which once you've experienced that high refresh rate, it is so hard to go back to 60. This laptop as of course designed with that IPS panel for 1080, and in those games that you've just seen, it pretty much cuts through anything at max detail, giving you in excess of 70 frames per second. Most of the time it may even go into those triple figures. The temps for the GPU are pretty good, but the same cannot be said for that CPU. It hits the mid-90s, which seems to be the same story for most, if not all laptops carrying that 9th gen Core i7. And we should note that during heavy load, the fans are particularly loud, so you might want to grab those headphones. So in general, we're pretty pleased with this laptop, though there are a few strange choices with things like storage. We get just one drive, which is a single 1TB PCI Express SSD, and while that might be great for the OS and common everyday apps, once you get that games library on the same drive, it is soon going to fill up and get populated. And for a laptop costing this much, we expect that secondary drive for that very purpose. Now for today's poll, we're going to be asking you the question, what is the most important aspect of a laptop for you guys? Drop the answer in the top right corner. Thanks very much for watching today, guys. Please share this video if you know anyone that might find it useful. Please show your support by liking this video, subscribing if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.